INFJs, friendship is just a trap. Here is the truth no one tells you. INFJ, you who walk quietly through the noise of the world, trying to make sense of a species that doesn't even know how much it's bleeding. You who give so freely, but end up with hands empty and soul fractured. Let's not sugarcoat it today. Because the truth is, friendship feels like a lie. A trap. A beautiful illusion that breaks you more than it builds you. And if you're still trying to convince yourself that you're just being too sensitive, this message is your mirror. Because deep down, you already know, no one is really your friend. 1. INFJs and the myth of connection. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? INFJs were born with a craving for depth, for connection that goes beneath the surface, into the caverns of the soul where few dare to look. You've never wanted crowds. Never needed noise. What you sought was understanding. But what did you find instead? Conversations that left you emptier than silence. Friendships that promised warmth but only delivered frostbite. People who smiled in your presence, only to mock your truth behind closed doors. And every time someone said, "You're just too intense," you shrank yourself, didn't you? You made yourself small. Quiet. You dimmed your flame just so they wouldn't run from your fire. But INFJ, they weren't afraid of your fire. They were afraid that you could see through theirs. 2. Why friendship hurts so deeply for INFJs. Here's the truth no one will say out loud. Friendship, for most people, is transactional. It's about mutual benefit, shared interests, emotional convenience. But you? You offer something else entirely. You offer your soul. Not because you're naive. Not because you don't see the red flags. But because you choose to believe that somewhere, somehow, someone will finally stay. And that's what makes it a trap, INFJ. Because you don't just make friends, you invest in them. You build them a home inside your heart. You become their secret keeper, their therapist, their safe space, and when they leave, when they betray you, ghost you, drain you, it doesn't just hurt. It breaks a part of you that took years to grow. 3. The INFJ loyalty curse. You've heard it before. INFJs are loyal to a fault, but let's reframe that. You're not loyal because you're blind. You're loyal because you see the potential in people. You see the little child hiding behind their adult mask. You see the trauma behind their anger, the sadness behind their arrogance. And your soul whispers, maybe I can help them heal, so you stay. Long after others would have walked away. You absorb the pain, forgive the lies, excuse the coldness, because you believe in them more than they believe in themselves. But INFJ, let me ask you this. Who believes in you like that? Who sits with your shadows and doesn't flinch? Who reads the pain behind your smile and says, I'm not going anywhere? The silence is your answer. 4. The INFJ social mask. INFJs are known for their empathy, their emotional intelligence, their ability to make others feel seen. But here's the paradox, no one ever really sees you. Not the mask you wear to make others comfortable. Not the jokes you tell to keep them from asking deeper questions. Not the way your heart sinks every time someone says, you're so strong, when inside you feel like you're barely holding it together. You've mastered the art of being there for everyone, except yourself. And so, you build friendships based on your ability to understand them, but never based on their ability to understand you. And that, dear INFJ, is the loneliest kind of relationship there is. 5. INFJs and the pain of outgrowing people. There comes a moment in every INFJ's life when the fog lifts. You wake up one day and realize, you're surrounded by people who don't even deserve access to your energy. The ones who call you only when they need something. The ones who say, "You're too much," just because they're unwilling to meet you at your depth. The ones who label your intuition as paranoia, because they fear the mirror you hold up to them. And it hits you. You've been investing in friendships that would never bleed for you the way you've bled for them. And so, you begin to detach. Not out of bitterness, but because your soul finally whispers, no more. No more shrinking. No more rescuing people who set themselves on fire and blamed you for the burn. No more friendships that feel like cages dressed up as comfort. 6. INFJ isolation is not depression. Some will say INFJs are reclusive, cold, aloof. But what they'll never understand is this: solitude is your sanctuary. Because in the silence, you find yourself. You hear your own thoughts, unfiltered, unjudged. You remember who you are without the weight of everyone else's expectations. And no, you're not depressed, you're recovering. From people. From betrayal. From the emotional noise that never gave you room to breathe. You're not pushing people away. You're reclaiming the space where your soul can breathe again. INFJ, that's not weakness. That's survival. 7. The INFJ awakening. Something changes when an INFJ stops chasing friendship. Stops trying to prove their worth. Stops waiting for someone to finally love them the way they love others. You stop explaining. You stop tolerating half-hearted connections. You stop making excuses for people who never deserved you in the first place. And in that stillness, you awaken. You realize that the loneliness you feared was safer than the betrayal you endured. You realize that the peace you feel in solitude is more fulfilling than the chaos of pretending to belong. And you stop calling it loneliness, you start calling it freedom. 8. What INFJs truly crave. Let's be honest, INFJ. You don't want friends. Not the kind the world sells, casual, shallow, conditional. What you crave is something far rarer. Something sacred. A soul mirror. A kindred spirit. A bond where words are optional and silence feels safe. But those are not found in groups. Not in parties. Not in popularity. They're found in moments. In energy. In presence. In that rarest of things, a soul that sees yours and doesn't flinch. And until that day comes, you're allowed to walk alone. Not bitter. Not broken. But whole. 9. INFJ, let this be your reminder. INFJ, you were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to be surrounded by dozens of people who don't even know your middle name. You were born for sacred connection, not surface-level validation. So stop doubting yourself just because no one stayed. Stop thinking you're hard to love just because they couldn't reach your depth. Stop seeing friendship as a measure of your worth. Because most people, they only love the parts of you they can understand. But the ones who can love your silence, your stillness, your storm, they will not ask you to shrink. They will meet you there. In the dark. In the quiet. And they will stay. INFJ, it's okay to be the one who walks away. It's okay to protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. And if you're still wondering whether anyone will ever truly understand you, you just heard someone who does. Because this space? This message? It was written for you. Now tell me, has friendship felt like a trap for you too? Drop your story in the comments. Let this be our quiet rebellion. INFJs deserve more than empty words and broken promises. INFJs deserve truth. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away from the crowd and walk toward yourself. If this spoke to your soul, Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more INFJ truths the world won't say out loud. Comment below if you've ever outgrown a friendship that was killing your light. Let other INFJs find your words and feel less alone. And most of all, remember who you are. You're not alone. Not here. You've just been misunderstood by a world too shallow to recognize a soul this deep. Remember, you don't lose real friends, you lose the illusion of who they were pretending to be. Stay safe, and see you in the next one.